just like, trying to find a customer for your product. The customer is the root element, and the problem is the root element from which think of it like a foundation, right? That changing the customer should change everything else. Same with changing the problem should also change the product. If it's not, then that's a yellow flag, right? And finally, pivots cannot be predicted in advance. Pivots are based on the result of an experiment where you tested the riskiest assumption, which is an unknown core assumption. If it's unknown, then you cannot predict where it's going to lead you. So you cannot predict pivots in advance. So don't try to, you're wasting your time. All right, so I do want to show a video here. Give me a second, guys. Let me reshare my screen. You can't hear this. This was 2012. This is over 10 years ago, guys. This is a classic.
Hi, I'm Mark Abramson. We generated $4,500 in the last 2 days using lean startup methodologies for a new company called Chef's Table. This is 6 bi-monthly events at San Francisco's top restaurants. So we were the winner of Lean Startup Machine, a 2-day boot camp. This is the validation board, which is a tool we used to run 10 experiments and do 5 pivots in just a couple days. So we started out on Friday night. Our pitch was, or my pitch, was resto tax. Turns out that San Francisco restaurants with more than 20 employees need to pay a payroll surcharge called Healthy San Francisco. They add this to your tab. So we got out of the building on Friday night. We talked to 7 general managers at restaurants. Guess how many had a problem of calculating this very complicated payroll tax? Bingo! 0 experienced the pain themselves. They sent it to their accountant. So we pivoted. To design and run this experiment on Friday night, this took us about 4 hours. Next up, we war-dialed about 40 accountants. We reached 3 and found 0 that actually calculate the tax. So we made an executive team decision. Let's move on to something else. This took us 3 hours. So moving on, we went back to something we learned from the managers during our first experiment, that the #1 problem San Francisco restaurants face is getting more people in the door, sales. #1 problem. So let's drive business to them using a matchmaking service between tech firms, law firms, and restaurants that offer happy hour. Oh, snap. They do not experience this pain. They're operating pretty much at margin during happy hour. Okay, but notice we were twice as productive during this experience. So let's go back to another thing that we learned in our very first experiment, getting out and talking to general managers at restaurants. These guys run the show. Okay, the restaurants need a better estimate of how many people are going to come in the door on a given night. Okay, so we designed a system that takes into consideration weather, hotel occupancy, and nearby conventions. They can staff appropriately. They can avoid food spoilage. They're going to save a ton of money. They're going to avoid staff turnover. And head shaking, side to side, not up and down. Damn it. But you know what? 20 minutes to design and run this guy. 20 minutes. So at this point, feeling pretty good about ourselves. Food right now. We are going to drive business in the door using a location-aware mobile application to send deal alerts driven entirely by restaurant managers in real time. Turns out it's an awesome idea. Tons of money's going in. We decide, well, it's not for us. It takes us about 30 minutes to come to this determination. So now it's Saturday. Morale's a little low. Saturday night. We're about to get kicked out of Pivotal Labs. And, well, we are awesome at invalidating our crappy ideas. And then Fiona says, hey, what about a wine club for restaurants? So we iterate on this, and we come up with Chef's Table, which is 6 bi-monthly restaurant experiences in 2013 at San Francisco's top restaurants featuring San Francisco's top chefs. It's an exclusive seasonal menu that is simply not available the rest of the year. You get personal time with the chef. You get a signed menu. You get preparation notes. You get a recipe. You know where the food comes from. $1,500 for 2 people for an annual subscription. So what's our riskiest assumption? Anybody? Oh my God, can we get $1,500 from Hardcore Foodies? The answer is yes. We closed $4,500 in 90 minutes on Sunday afternoon, and we could sell out all of 2013 if we were not stuck in this building. So what are the key takeaways here? For me, there were three, and we chatted. What are our team goals? What do we got going on? Number one, you can do this, and you can do this, and you can do this. Okay, zero coding. We went from selling vaporware to selling vapor food. Number two, you have to practice to get lean. I've been to 2 of these conferences before, and now I'm just getting okay. And number three, as Dan Martell once said, once you've collected $1 on the internet, you have gone pro. So I'd really like to thank my amazing team. You know, I just met these people for the first time on Friday night, and they were unbelievable. There are actually 6 tickets left for Chef's Table in 2013. And we are looking for investors, so come see me afterwards.
Awesome. Yeah. If any, I mean, this is the pro level. It's funny that you said, once you've collected $1 on the internet, you've gone pro. I mean, $4,500 in 2013, that's like $20,000 today with inflation. And I think a couple of important parts of this study, this case study, you know, the team whipped through 5 or 6 ideas in 3 days. Okay. I don't know. It's very hard to do that remotely. This is running a workshop. There's a lot of mentoring, but you guys can do this. I mean, this would be the peak of what you could achieve if you're applying this process correctly. As you notice, his first experiment took 4 hours. Okay. Second experiment, 3 hours. Third experiment took 2 hours, and he joked, he said, we're twice as productive because they failed in 2 hours instead of 4 hours, which is actually how you should measure this, right? Productivity is not, did you validate it? Productivity is how fast can you test and fail the idea? And you notice that as they're getting a lot better, to see if you can, how complex it is to implement that. Yep. I mean, I think you probably don't even need DLCs. You just sell a partially signed.
About the query end. Thank you. And I have practical questions about the query and interviewing. So I do see the video, the Mark is really doing great and preview so fast and do interview in short time. But in practice, I found myself hard to do quick interview. I mean, to explore their idea, it took me an hour. So, and also arrange time remotely on the internet. And I just did 3 or 4 people interviewed in a working day. So it's working slowly. Basically, it took me 24 hours or 48 hours to preview an idea to prove a assumption is correct or not. So how can I speed up with the internet and the remote interview?
By doing it with a team, probably, and dividing and conquering. Like, I think it's also hard to do this process by yourself. You're not going to get good results because you need to combine the perspective of multiple people to determine reality. Remember when I talked about the 3 co-founders?
Yeah.
The triangulation of reality. So it's very hard to do interviews without team members because you start with the same questions. You each interview someone who has the same customer segment, and then you discuss what the patterns are, and you're more likely to get an accurate reading. Like all 3 of you should get like find cookie monsters if it's like a really viable idea.
I mean, with the team, yeah. So, but we are not divided into different interview. Everybody are interested into interview, so we are all spending time in the same video. Is that something maybe we can improve? Maybe we should divide ourselves to different interview at the same time. Is that a suggestion? Yeah,
I would. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't need to put everybody on the same interview for the same information and raising question. Instead, we should get more interviews rather than.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Yeah. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Pause it real quick.
Anybody else have questions? Want to show your board?
Well, I guess you can fast forward just while you're doing that, guys. So that was Jay 2 weeks into the program, roughly where you guys are now. And during the program, I think he ended up interviewing like right over 100 users, you know. And so 2 weeks into the program, he got his first check for I think 200,000 ish, like 2 weeks after demo day or something like that. So that was like 3 months before he got his first check. So as you can see, that was I think he said 4 interviews, right? So he was like four interviews into the process. Okay. So guys, it can happen very fast. It was his first time applying the system. But he made it work. So uh, also that's also good advice. I would still recommend that the first couple of interviews you guys have the buddy system, and once you guys are able to get your own product out of your mind and objectively ask the scientific interview questions, then you guys could do like one-on-one, you know? Okay. And then you'll cover more ground. Thanks. Back to you, Tristan.
Cool. All right, let me show you guys the rest of the slides here. Then think of any questions you have, if you want me to look at your experiment board afterwards. So with pre-orders and landing pages. So we talked about customer interviews, we talked about pivoting. Ideally, you found a pain point, you found something that people are resonating with and Cookie Monsters, and now you're going to go over to validating the solution. Validating the solution doesn't mean you validate the product. It just means that you've validated a match between the problem and solution on paper, like in people's minds. Doesn't mean it actually satisfies the problem. We'll talk about that later. But again, pre-orders, you're asking people to put up something to like risk, capital that they pay for something before it launches. The point of this is not to get revenue. The point of this is to validate your product. You can collect money, you cannot collect money. The point is the experiment of testing, are people willing to risk something to have their problem solved. So this is like the most famous classic example of like the pre-order MVP. This is a company called Buffer, quite successful now. I mean, they've been doing tens of millions of dollars in revenue every year. But it started with this landing page, which was just tweet more consistently with Buffer. And then it explains how it works. Typically, you can see this landing page is pretty heavy on the explanation. Early adopters are, again, people that have been searching for a solution longer and they understand the problem in more depth. So they're not someone that you need to sell by save time and money. It's so great. You need to be more specific. Early adopters know what they're looking for. And so they want to understand how something works. It's like, developers who go into a new blockchain, they want to know, how does the blockchain work? They don't care. It's more scalable. It's, more decentralized. Like, all right, well, how? Like, explain it. And it needs to pass that test, right? And so this landing page just says tweet more consistent Buffer, choose times to tweet, add tweets to your buffer does the rest, relax. We tweet for you, just keep your buffer topped up. But it's pretty simple, right? There's not that much here, there's not much social proof. Early adopters just know what they're looking for, okay? And it has a simple button, plans, and pricing. So you click here to sign up. So to do a landing page, you don't need to build the product, right? What we're doing, we're testing here. Are people even going to click this button? That's the test of this experiment. This landing page meant to test. Will people read this, and will they even take the step to click plans and pricing to go to the next step? Most people, for most ideas, will not even click this button. Most people will not even click on the link to your site if you tweet it out, right? But if you are solving a problem, people see a tweet about it, they'll go to the site, they'll read it. If it makes sense, if it solves a problem, they'll click the next step, okay? Most ideas never even pass this test of even going to the landing page, let alone clicking the single button. And you can run this test without building your product, without spending months coding it and developing it. You can just do it in a few hours by getting something up as simple as this, okay? Less is more, right? Notice that this site is very minimal, but it's still well designed, okay? If you look at like the size of everything, the font, like it's well designed for being very minimal, okay? So it doesn't mean you actually, it's probably fine to have an ugly design sometimes, but in crypto, people are very low trust. So having a clean design or simple design is more likely to not give people red flags, right? So you want to be minimal, but designed well. And so in this experiment, this is literally how Buffer created a $100 million, if not $1 billion business from this experiment by launching this landing page you're looking at right in front of you. This was 2010, this was 13 years ago. They tested their idea with this landing page, okay? And they would test when people click plans and pricing. And when they click plans and pricing, there would be another page here, okay? So this test is getting more difficult every step, right? So here, what they want to test is, are any percentage of people going to be willing to pay $5 or $20 for this, right? Perhaps you get a lot of people to sign up, but everybody just clicks the free plan. Or they get to the plans and pricing and they don't click anything, right? That would also be a negative, right? So you can actually test the business model ahead of time with the landing page in multiple steps. From, do they like the value proposition? Are they interested to learn more? Okay, yes. How much do they care? Are they willing to actually pay for this, or are they just going to do the free plan and they only need 5 tweets? They only need 1 tweet per day, okay? And so what would happen is, after people would click on the pricing plan here, it would lead to a coming soon form, right? You saw this in my scooter story as well. Hello, you've called us before ready. We're working hard to put the finishing touches on the buffer. Things are going well. It should be ready to help you with Twitter very soon. If you'd like to send us a reminder already, just put them below. And so this is like the final test. Like, are they actually still interested to give you their email, but they're waiting for this, that they're willing to wait for this for when it comes out? Okay, so there's 3 kind of steps to your landing page experiment: the value proposition, the explanation how it works. Are people willing to click the button? Optional pricing information, right? Actually, in my scooter example, I had pricing on the homepage for them to click, and then a coming soon form to fill their emails. You can contact them. For pre-orders, you're probably looking for 200 to 500 unique views. I can imagine you doing 100 at minimum, but I would say a solid 200 views. If you get less than 10% conversion, that's a fail. Okay, a typical good experiment will get 20% or more conversion on views. Okay, so if you get less than 10%, something might be wrong. Okay, and you can always if you get any signups, you can contact those, right? But we remember for my initial scooter store, we got 50 signups in 2 hours, right? I don't know how many views we got, but this is just a general guideline here for you to base your experiment off of. I would work backwards to your own success criteria, but this is what I recommend. Here's some different tools you can use. Webflow, Squarespace. I'm not sure if Get Waitlist still exists. This is the whole presentation, but any landing page builder, okay? Pick a good one. Have people look at it. If you make an ugly page, God help you, you might have a very difficult battle becoming a successful founder if you are not product oriented and you don't know how to make a decent looking page. But yeah, make something simple, quick to set up. And let me show you what an early access survey is. Okay, so this is a very good way to source potential customers, called the early access survey. And the early access survey is a key step when doing customer research before you release a new product or feature. It gives you a chance to get lots of responses to questions about the problem you're trying to solve. A simple way to identify people who are willing to speak to you on the phone, via email, or instant message. So the first part of the early access survey is a welcome message. We're building ... but we'd love to learn more about you and how you use ... We're going to pick our first round of early access users from these survey submissions. Alternatively, it could say, this short survey will help us understand more about you and shape ... or share your opinion with us and be one of the first to get early access to ... You can literally copy and paste this for your survey. Contact method, okay, get their email address so you can contact them. In some cases, you can get their phone number to text message or call them. Their Discord username, their Twitter username. If you ask for something more personal, like a phone number, make sure you describe exactly why you want it. The more you ask for, right? Give a reason.